Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today for you I have a mighty game review of RoboCop Rogue City. Now I know this is like the third or fourth or dozenth video on RoboCop Rogue City, but the game has finally been released. I've been sitting here grinding away at it. I got about 5 hours of gameplay in, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to review the per se final product, which I'm still sure there's going to be some patches and things on the way for RoboCop Rogue City, but I'm going to give you my initial thoughts, essentially my review, an actual in-depth review of what I've seen so far about the game, and give you my thoughts about the game. Let's dive on into what can you expect from Taeon and RoboCop Rogue City. Man versus machine elements? Check. Lumbering tank that soaks bullets like a sponge? Check. Guns that have more testosterone than a Rocky Mountain bull? Say no more, because motherfucking check. This game has got that. They nailed that part of RoboCop out of the park. A lot of references as well to the old RoboCop movies, particularly, mostly the ones I've been pointing out so far has been RoboCop 1, but I've also seen references to RoboCop 2, which makes absolute perfect sense because the game is set between RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3, the films, and they've just great job with all the different references, the product placement, things of that nature, such as they got the Sunblock 5000, which you see that here. I still remember that cheesy commercial from the first movie, and it was just well done in my feelings about the movie. The environment itself is pretty well done, feels lived in. You know, you kind of get like the stereotypical crack house when you go to the one location that's essentially a nuke house. You see the steel mill, things of that nature. The voice acting, from my original standpoint, I feel the voice acting's a bit better. I think what it is the lips of the characters and maybe the facial expressions are a little bit more improved compared to what they were in the demo, and the voice acting seems a bit more spot on than it did before. I don't think it's the Tano voices. I don't think it's the way the voices are delivered. I think it's more of the graphical facial expressions in the game itself. Now, that being said, the next thing I want to point out, too, that I have seen is improved FPS. Except for a couple moments here and there, I have been rocking a solid 60 FPS. I am definitely very pleased about that. I did have a bunch of FPS issues on and off with the demo, and I actually toned the graphics down for the demo. But then for the actual released game, which you're seeing footage here, I actually increased the graphics, and it's just been running like a top, running great. Next thing I want to point out that I am actually ecstatic about is like the little fan service snippets. The second chapter of the if you will, of the game actually takes you to the steel mill. Yes, that steel mill. And you see everything from, you actually walk through the location where RoboCop actually fights and kills Clarence Boddicker, and there's a point where you go in the steel mill itself and you actually find the location where Alex Murphy died, including the fact that his arm was missing, because if you remember the movie, his right arm was blown off with a shotgun. And the chalk outline actually has the right arm missing. So just really well done on that end of things, dropping those little Easter eggs for people to find. There's also an Easter egg I found where it was more or less like a newspaper article talking about essentially Kane, who's the drug lord in RoboCop 2, and the basis of the article was the legacy he left behind, that essentially yeah, he was the Nuke drug kingpin, and Nuke is still around. So even though Kane is long gone, his legacy still lives. So yeah, definitely really good stuff on there. The next thing I want to talk about with like fan service and just the really careful crafting of the fan service, if you will, and the environment. Like the cars feel like they're from the time period. They got the TVs down right. Even there's even a mission where you have to find a phone booth. That is so like late 80s, early 90s, a public phone booth. Most people nowadays doesn't even know what they are because they've been gone for so long. And, they actually have them in the game and they're actually crafted. They look like an actual legit phone booth. Um, so yeah, Forgotten Civilization rearing its ugly head in this game. So it's really great to see Teon did a really great job on that end. Now, with that being said, I did have some issues. I did notice some graphic shortcomings, especially when it comes to the shadows, especially the shadows around RoboCop's face, like where there's a bit of a shadow underneath the helmet itself, under his visor. Um, and I noticed like the shadowing there looks a little jagged. It's not. I don't notice the jagged edges everywhere when it comes to lighting effects, but that's definitely one area I did notice it, and maybe it's because of how much you actually see RoboCop's face. It is why it stood out to me, but it definitely stood out to me. There was some kind of issue where I had a turn speed glitch. Now understand, I actually have the sensitivity turned way down. And I have my DPI set for the typical setting I normally run at, which is like a mid setting for my mouse. But at some point or another, there was a cutscene, and when the cutscene had ended, like RoboCop would not turn. And I even cranked up the DPI, and it just didn't work. I ended up having to reload the game, which is fine. The game loads pretty quickly, but I did want to bring up the fact that I experienced that kind of a glitch. I also noticed a scan glitch. So when you hold the right mouse button, you scan different things in your environment. And I was like doing a close-up investigative mode, and I was trying to scan a blood stain, and it was scanning, but it wasn't accepting the scan for the evidence to go on to the next step. And I ended up having to reload and come back in and do that, and it was fixed. But it's something I do want to bring up. The next thing I want to bring up is there needs to be a little bit, either there needs to be a manual save or there needs to be more auto saves. There's actually a couple spots where like I had to like just exit out of the game. The one earlier with the turn speed glitch, I ended up completely exiting out of the game and coming back into the game to fix the issue. With this, there was another point too where I just had to get up and I had to get away from my PC, and I had to get away from my PC for a while. So I decided just to exit the game, and I saw that there was no save option there, so I couldn't save. And I was just like, whatever, I'll exit the game. I have to step away for like 20 minutes, half hour, whatever. When I came back, I had to replay a section. So there's 2 or 3 times now where I've had to replay sections because there was no autosave when I went to quit, and I couldn't do a manual save. So that's kind of something I feel they need to work on a bit. I think a manual save would be better, to be honest. Because, yeah, things come up. People just have to get up and walk away from their computers. Now, that being said, I guess I could have just let the game run, but me personally, I don't like doing that. And yeah, if something comes up where you think you're going to be away from the game for a while, it kind of sucks to have to replay a section just because maybe an emergency had come up and you have to quit out of the game. With all that being said, folks, I'm going to say this. Is this game perfect? Nah. But so fucking what? I've actually been having fun with this game. Just like I said with the demo, I feel like I'm actually in the shoes of RoboCop. Well, in the metal skeleton, if you will, of RoboCop. The movement feels right. The gun feels right. Everything feels right. So yeah, while it's not perfect, while it doesn't have the AAA spit and polish that some other games out there has, like Cyberpunk at this point, I'm going to throw this out there. A lot of you people got sucked dry for money from Todd Howard for Starfield. So, is it perfect? No, but there's other games out there that are far from. So yeah, anyway, I do personally recommend this game. It's going to keep your hands full. And honestly, I think even if you're not really a fan of RoboCop, I think you would still enjoy this. I think if you're a fan of RoboCop, or if you really played and really liked Terminator Resistance, I think you're going to love this game. It is a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun myself. Actually, as soon as I'm done with this review, I'm hopping back in to do some more RoboCop stuff. So I'm going to wrap this review up now where it is. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have yourself a wonderful day.